Did you know that there was a book published with almost the exact same story about the Titanic sinking, and that event of the Titanic sinking actually happened years later? Did you know that? Because this story is actually pretty crazy, and I just found out today for the first time how they might have been predictive programming people when there was no social media and no television yet in existence. So the book that I'm talking about is The Wreck of the Titan, written by Morgan Robertson in 1898, while the actual event of the Titanic sinking was in 1912. That was 14 years later. But the crazy thing right here is there are so much similarities between the book that was written by Morgan in 1898 and the real event that happened. Even the name, because the name in the book of Morgan was the Titan, and the name of the boat that actually sank was the Titanic. But guys, let's have a look at more similarities, because this is not everything. So the size of the boat in the book was 800 feet long, and in the real ship was 880 feet long. Pretty close, right? The weight in the book was 75,000 tons, and the real weight of the Titanic was 52,000 tons. The speed was in the book 25 knots, and for the real Titanic was 22.5 knots. So it's pretty close, guys. And then this is also very interesting because they both claimed to be unsinkable. So in the book, the Titan was being advertised as a unsinkable boat, but also the real Titanic has been putting out advertisements where they are claiming to be an unsinkable boat. The lifeboats on both of these boats, the fictional boat and the real boat, were too few, and they both, this is where it really gets creepy, they both had a collision with an iceberg, as far as the story goes, in April in the North Atlantic. So in the same ocean, in the same month, and the same cause for this disaster to happen. And then the main reason why many people did not survive it, because there were not many lifeboats on both of these things. And guys, this is something that keeps my mind busy when I'm laying in the night, because I just simply cannot understand what is going on right here. My human mind cannot completely grasp what is going on, because you will probably have a big group of people that are going to say that it is a coincidence, and I'm definitely not belonging to this group, because for me the chances for this to be coincidence is just too low. I think there is a bigger universal law at work right here, or maybe even being abused right here. I know there are many different theories around this subject. I just simply don't understand. If you understand it, then let me know in the comment section, but because I would love some clarification on this subject, please. By the way, if you want to get rid of your weed in this crazy hot weather, I actually learned a trick from Paul Saladino. So what you do, you take some vinegar, then you take kitchen salt, a little bit of dish soap, So actually a couple of people, they did not attend this ship because they actually had already a gut feeling, that something was not going right. So we had like one person here, J. Conan Middleton, and like much respect for this guy, because he actually cancelled his trip with the Titanic because he had two dreams 10 days before the boat was actually going. He had two dreams where he saw the boat was actually sinking and he was floating above, like seeing the boat from above, and the boat going on the water. So yeah, he didn't attend it. And even, guys, another person, Colin McDonald, it was one of the machinery operators of the boat. He was the second operator of the boat, and he cancelled because he had a very strong feeling that this ship would get lots of troubles. That's what he basically said. So he also didn't attend the ship. But what I find very interesting from these two young men, because one of them is 34, the other one, I don't know the age, but is that they actually followed their gut instincts, right? Because I know many people probably have felt something, but maybe ignored that feeling, or maybe that feeling wasn't strong enough, or you try to rationalize these feelings with, yeah, probably nothing is going to happen. But it is pretty interesting, because we have all this voice in our head sometimes that is thinking about these doomsday scenarios, but I believe that the dream that this person saw is not that voice, it's not that same voice, that's a separate thing. And I actually believe that he has seen into the future in his dream. I think that is definitely possible. And the other one, the machinery operator that cancelled because he had just a weird gut feeling, I also find it very impressive. These people, for me, really are an example of sticking to your own principles, sticking to your own authenticity and your own feeling. If you really feel like something is not right, something is just not right, but you cannot really place it, then it's better to listen to that feeling than to try and rationalize it. That's what I personally think. Even if you want to rationalize it, you gotta investigate that feeling and see where does it come from. Does it come from insecurity? Is it actually your voice, or is it a voice that has been programmed in your mind with maybe watching some movies or stuff like that? And when thinking about these topics, which are very beautiful topics, you have to come to the point to what is happening here, because how is it possible that this book is written by this writer and is published 14 years before we actually see the real event happening? That's not the only thing that we actually have seen in our lifetime, because we also have strange synchronicities when we look, for example, at the movie The Matrix, that the passport of Neo has an expiration date on 9/11. I mean, how big are those odds? Which other event I actually wanted to mention? There was one more. Oh yeah. Because this is my personal experience with this whole phenomena. Is one time I got a call from a friend of mine, and that friend of mine has nothing to do with crypto. He basically doesn't even own Bitcoin, and he called me up and he said like, yo dude, I had this dream that Bitcoin's price was going to this level and then suddenly it would really take off. And I was already thinking like, wow, that's pretty interesting that you have that dream, because you're not even that busy with it. Because if you are watching the charts every single day, then it might make sense that you see these things in your dreams, because your attention and concentration is on these things. But what he literally said, he literally told me that Bitcoin is going to dip into 19,000 US dollars, and that once it dips into that level, it's going to take off and it's going to have a really explosive rally. Like, it's just going to go up. Actually, that exact same thing happened. Bitcoin dipped into 90,000, like the upper 19,000 region, and then it just took off straight to 30,000 US dollars. This is my personal experience with these things. I haven't got many dreams myself that eventually became a reality, but I do believe that there's definitely some truth in that, and that also makes you think, actually, what is time? You probably will not get, that's the whole point with this discussion, you probably don't even get an answer. It's just entertaining to think about it. It is too complex to answer, there is no answer, but to shove it under the carpet of coincidence is just an easy way to get an excuse to not do any further research, because what's happening here is definitely very significant. There is something going on right here, what we just don't understand. That's what I personally believe. So yeah, guys, let me know in the comment section what you think is happening here. Did you had any dreams that later came into reality, or maybe deja vu moments? That's something that I did had. So that's maybe dreams, but then you forgot those dreams, and then you see it in reality, and suddenly you have this flashback like, whoa. Or maybe someone is tampering with reality. Somebody is actually tampering with time. That's why you got these deja vus. I don't know. I really have no clue. But I do know that it's way more complex than just coincidence. So you have these people who say then, yeah, but when you dream at night, you have 10,000 thoughts while you're dreaming. And then when you're in your waking life, of course, some of these thoughts come to fruition in a coincidental way. I don't believe that's the case at all. I don't believe that's the case at all. I believe when you're dreaming and when your consciousness might not be directly in your body with your physical senses, your consciousness is somewhere else, still in connection with something, still able to perceive certain things, maybe to perceive certain lessons. This is also something that Carl Jung has been talking about, that your dreams are very important and often carry symbolic meanings, but maybe even next to symbolic meanings, it can carry futuristic events already, like these people who have not boarded on the Titanic because they felt or seen something in their dreams that was not right. And yeah, this is for me personally a big lesson, that your gut instinct, which is something that we really have being much suppressed in the Western culture, your gut instinct is very important. I had some personal situations in life where I actually have ignored my gut instinct many times by rationalizing and just shoving it under the carpet, basically, but not under the carpet of coincidence. I shove it under the carpet of this is not important because I rationalize it. So I put my mental mind, I put it above that feeling. And if you do that for a long amount of time, you actually ignore your body's language that is talking to you. And if you do that long enough, you can actually run into some physical problems, maybe even some mental problems or problems in your life in general, because the machine that you are controlling, your body, is such a smart machine that sometimes it will give you a sign and you cannot understand it with your mind, but in the end it turns out to be right. So with the Titanic, I think many people who had the gut feeling, because there were even people also written in this book that had that gut feeling, that had even written about that a potential boat crash could happen, but they still went on board and they eventually lost their life. Rationalize it away, because I also like to think about these things. Even I know that I will not get an answer to it. I just like to think about these things. It's like these mind-bending things you can think about, that you can think about forever in eternity, and you will never grasp it, but you'll get this mysterious feeling and that there is more. And I like that feeling, actually. I love it. And the captain, this is also worth mentioning, the captain actually died because he tried to rescue a baby. One of the witnesses who saw that happening actually said that he heard the captain saying, "I'm going down with the ship." And for me, that's a crazy spirit. That is a really crazy spirit, man. The captain willing to go down with the ship in the last moments, willing to rescue a baby. That is honestly, that's really a touching story. Must be a beautiful guy. So the moral of the story is to really listen always to your gut feeling and take your dream serious. Like maybe even I'm going to do this. Like I'm going to put a book next to my bed, and then every time I wake up in the morning and I remember my dream, I'm just going to write it down and don't think about it anymore. And then once in a while, I'm just going to look into this book and just look a little bit like, hey, what if I dreamed and what is it trying to tell me? Just to try to get a connection with that part of you, just to put some attention, put some consciousness in there, it might be very interesting. I'm going to do that, and let me know if you're going to do that as well, or if you're doing that already and I'm just late to the party. And share the lessons that you got from it. Share the lessons what you got from it down below. That would be cool. You can already see after a couple of hours they are all looking pretty dead, gone, easy peasy, and it's actually not that not that bad for nature because you're just using vinegar and salt. One guy that also predicted something very, maybe even manifested it, was Tupac. Early death. He made multiple songs talking about his early deaths, even being a shooting, and he eventually ended up being shot. But I don't know if this has anything to do with the topic talked about earlier in today's video. I just thought it was worth mentioning because it is again a very unique situation where a futuristic event is actually already felt by this person. Tupac was feeling, he was rapping so often about it that he will die young, and even made that video clip where he actually dies at a young age getting shot, which eventually happened with that drive-by. That was it for this video. Some food for thought. I'm going to check what I'm going to dream today, and I'm going to write these things down as it is super interesting. Guys, see you on the next one. Bye. Every time I'm doubting, should I like make the steak in the kitchen, or should I light up the barbecue? Because the kitchen is of course way easier to light it up, but then always after the first bite, once it's ready from the barbecue, you directly remember why you wanted to use the barbecue, because it's just such a better taste than when you make it on the gas stove.